Okay, I brought a friend this morning, and you guys all know that I like frogs. You guys know that I like frogs. Now, that may seem kind of strange. If you come to our house is loaded with lots of different frogs. I'm not going to leave them yet, okay? I get to do that. All right, okay. This goes back a long time, and whatever time Dennis doesn't use with the storm, I'll take a little piece of it right now. I would probably have taken 3 weeks worth to do this, so I'm going to give you the abbreviated but not too abbreviated version because I want everybody to get this message, okay? This is all about how come I like frogs. Now this goes back, it even goes back before that. It actually goes back before that. Goes back about 25 years. Now, I don't know whether all of you all were looking to see what kinds of stuff people collected 25 years ago. You guys weren't alive 25 years ago, so you wouldn't have any idea. But they weren't collecting frogs. Frogs were not everywhere. But my mom, who was confined to home a good bit of the time, watched church on television. I would go to church, and when I would come home, she would often tell me about the service. And this one particular Sunday I came home and she said, oh my gosh, you have got to write to the pastor of the church that she listened to on TV because he had this amazing sermon and you would just love it. It was all about kissing a frog. And so she told me what parts that she remembered about it, but indeed I wrote to him. He sent me, you guys will remember it, those older folks out there, little cassette tapes. He actually sent me a tape with his whole sermon on it, with this on there. And from that moment on, it kind of just became my favorite devotional. And I said, I got to have some frogs to go along with this. And now this particular one I brought this morning, he's going to do something at the end. One of my students, believe it or not, a high school student, gave this to me several years ago. So, there's some good kids out there yet. And this one means a lot to me. I've got a lot of little ones that I've bought. People have given them to me. But this is how it started. And it's a song by Chet Atkins. I have never heard it until this pastor used it in his sermon. It's called Frog Kissin'. Now, some of you, I've done a devotional on this years ago, but I thought, you know what? This is our last Sunday. You're going to get the whole book. All of his book and all of my book today. This is called Frog Kissin'. And I got to tell you, when already we feel your spirit this morning, I'm the frog today, and you guys are doing what this song says. Do you remember in the fairy tale how the wicked witch's spell changed the handsome prince to a toad? Yeah. Through the power of her potion, she handed him the notion that he was lower than the dirt in the road. And though she left him green and warded, her evil plan was thwarted when there chanced to happen by a young miss, who in spite of his complexion offered her affection and broke the wicked curse with her kiss. Well, if you've never been a frog kissing, then you don't know what you've been missing. There's a world of opportunity under each and every log. If you've never been a charm breaker and you've never been a handsome prince maker, just slow down, bend down, turn around, and kiss you a frog. Once upon a time ago, I was down and feeling low, like a lonely frog in a pond. Life was just a joke, and I was very near a croaking. I was zapped by life's wicked wand. Then in the depths of my depression came a true expression of love from a lady so sweet. She gave warm, fuzzy feelings that were healing, and knocked me off my little webbed feet. Well, if you've never been a frog kissing, then you don't know what you've been missing. There's a world of opportunity under each and every log. If you've never been a charm breaker, and if you've never been a handsome prince maker, just slow down, turn around, bend down, and kiss you a frog. There is a happy ever after land, even in the heart of man, where a prince or princess abides. But all we get are glimpses of the handsome prince or princess, because they're covered by a green hide. And though they're full of life's potential, they're lacking one essential to enable them to shine like a star. And that's to have some guy or missus smother them with kisses and love them while they're just like they are. And that's the secret to frog kissing. And you can do it too if you just listen. And slow down, turn around, bend down, and kiss you a frog. Now, it isn't a song about romantic love. It's a song about caring about people and doing kind things for them. Like Brother Ray coming and bringing you guys to church. What a blessing Pastor Dennis and I would miss if he had not done that. He did some frog kissing, didn't he? Tyler is saying, I am not a frog. You are not a frog. But you know what? We all are sometimes. We're just kind of down and we need somebody to cheer us up. And that's what Jesus' love is all about. I think of your grandma who brings you to church. I think of your big sister who takes such good care of you. These are just a few examples. Now, for a long time, for me, the frog kissing song was what the frog was all about, and that's why I collected them, to be part of sharing the idea that we all can do that. I try to think of when I'm teaching that I'll think I have some frogs in my class, and they are, some of them are actually toads, but that does not fit in the song. But you know what? I'm never going to let them know that they are. I'm going to try to help them not to be one, to feel better about themselves, because I know what it feels like to be made to feel better. Well, I decided, there's more to this frog thing. Because I have kids asking me, do you collect frogs at home? And I said, oh yeah, I've got, and then they're picturing the living ones jumping all around the house. I said, oh no, not that kind. Please do not bring me any of those. But I decided to look up and find out more about frogs. So for me, the frogs were all about frog kissing. And I've got to say one thing. I had not kissed any frogs, either the green kind or any other kind. God just brought Pastor Dennis into my life, and he wasn't a frog. But okay, next part of how about frogs. The next thing, in order to be able to share about the frogs, because I can't exactly teach a math lesson and tell the kids you've got to do some frog kissing. That would never work with high school students. They'd take me up on it. So I would not be able to do that. So I said, what else is there about frogs? Guys, have you ever noticed a frog's legs? What can they do? Hop. They can hop. Can they really hop a lot? Yeah. Have you ever watched them hop like all the way from the ground up to a tree? They can. And let me give you a little math fact. A frog's legs have such spring in them because they actually almost have like a double leg. And they can spring. If we could spring proportionately. Now, you're going to learn that this next year. You probably should know some of the math. He's going into middle school. You should learn about proportions. And if we could jump proportionately to how high a frog can jump, we could jump a 10-story building. God did not mean for us to jump in that way, but He does mean for us to make a leap of faith. And Pastor Dennis and I have experienced that in these recent months, that a leap of faith to say, you know what, God has been with us all our lives, and we have known Him in such a very wonderful way in our ministry with the family of this church. And so the leap of faith says, you know what, there's another leap that He wants us to make. And He's going to ask that. You're making a leap into middle school, and it's going to be different. But you're going to be fine with it. And we got some folks going into 3rd grade this year. Do you know that's the first really hard grade? You get into that, but you're going to love it. You're going to have to make a leap. And you're going into the next level of kindergarten. That's going to be a leap too. If we trust God, we can do it. And then there's one more thing about the frog, and this was kind of the last thing that I discovered over all these years, these 25 years, and that is that the word frog can represent the words fully rely on God. Now, do you realize that if we actually do that, we'll want to go around frog kissing, won't we? Because if we're relying on God, we'll want to be able to make a difference in somebody else's life. Now, Pastor Dennis and I have something made for you guys to help you remember this. We do not want you to forget us or the message to fully rely on God. And we actually had these made, and I want you to see. There's a frog on here, and he is holding a log that he is trying to lift. And he can do it if he will fully rely on God. So you need to stick this on your refrigerator. And I want you to keep it forever, guys. Now, I've got stuff that I had when I was your age that meant a lot, and I hope that you will hang on to this and let this be a reminder with whatever you face that you need to fully rely on God. And if you do, Pastor Dennis likes to have a little special music before the sermon, and I have arranged for that this morning because I have a frog that sings.